The alarm systems across Unity Haven screamed to life at a 600 hours Galactic Standard Time. Captain Dae-sung dropped his morning coffee and ran toward the command center, his heart pounding in his chest. He had worked at this station for 12 years, and the emergency sirens had never sounded like this before. Commander Hyo-jin was already at her post when he arrived, her fingers flying across the holographic displays. Her face was pale, and sweat beaded on her forehead despite the cool air in the room. "What's happening?" Dae-sung asked, moving to stand beside her. "Unknown vessel," Hyo-jin said, her voice tight. "Massive energy signature. It just appeared at the edge of our scanning range. The computer can't identify it." Dae-sung looked at the main screen. A huge shape was moving through space toward them. The energy readings were impossible. Nothing they knew could generate that much power. "Get me a visual," he ordered. The screen flickered and changed. What appeared made Dae-sung's breath catch in his throat. The ship was enormous, easily 3 kilometers long. The design was old, very old. He recognized the basic shape from history files he had studied as a young officer. "That's a human colony ship," he whispered. "From the first wave program." Hyo-jin turned to stare at him. "That's impossible. Those ships left Earth over 300 years ago. They were all accounted for or declared lost." "Not all of them." Dae-sung moved closer to the screen, his eyes scanning every detail. "Computer, check historical records. Search for colony ship Eternal Dawn." The computer responded immediately. "Colony ship Eternal Dawn. Launched from Earth in 2547. Destination, Kepler 442 system. Lost contact shortly after final jump. Declared lost with all hands. 50,000 colonists aboard. Search abandoned after 10 years. "That's impossible," Hyo-jin repeated. "Even if they survived, they couldn't have maintained that ship for 3 centuries. And look at those modifications. The hull is covered in technology we don't recognize." Dae-sung nodded slowly. His mind was racing. The ship approaching them was indeed based on the old colony ship design, but it had been changed dramatically. Strange panels covered the hull in patterns that seemed almost organic. The engines glowed with a soft blue light that shouldn't be possible with human technology, at least not the human technology from 300 years ago. "Alert the council ambassadors," Dae-sung said, "and get me Dr. Sunwoo from the research department. Now." Within minutes, the command center filled with representatives from the major galactic powers. Ambassador Velthara arrived first, her 4 arms gesturing wildly as she clicked and whistled in her native language. The translation device on her chest converted her words to galactic standard. "This is highly irregular," she said, her compound eyes fixed on the screen. "A human vessel of unknown origin appearing without warning. This violates multiple council protocols." "It's a human ship returning home," Dae-sung said, trying to keep his voice calm. "They were lost, and now they've found their way back." "Perhaps." High Chancellor Bromtek pushed his way to the front of the crowd, his scales gleaming under the lights. The Tarvex leader was over 2 meters tall, and his presence filled the room with tension. Or perhaps it is something else. Something dangerous. Dr. Sunwoo arrived, pushing through the crowd of diplomats. He was breathing hard from running, his laboratory coat still fastened incorrectly. He stopped dead when he saw the ship on the screen. "By all the stars," he breathed. "Is that real?" "Very real," Hyo-jin confirmed. "And getting closer. ETA to station is 6 hours at current speed." Sunwoo moved to a secondary console and began running scans. His fingers trembled as he worked. "The hull material," he said after a moment. "I can't identify it. It's not showing up as any known metal or composite. The energy readings are off the scale. That reactor output is 10 times what our best ships can produce." "Impossible," Bromtek declared. "The humans are a junior species. They were granted council membership only 80 years ago. They don't possess such technology." "We didn't," Dae-sung admitted. 300 years ago, we didn't. But if this ship survived, if those colonists lived, he trailed off, his imagination racing with possibilities. Then they had 3 centuries to develop on their own, Sunwoo finished. Away from council regulations and safety protocols. Away from everything we know. Velthara's translator clicked rapidly. This changes everything. If humans possess technology beyond council standards, it represents a significant shift in galactic power balance. We must assess this situation carefully. We must take control of that vessel immediately, Bromtech countered. For security purposes, I propose that Tarvek's warships intercept and board it before it reaches this station. Absolutely not, Dae-Sung said firmly. Those are human civilians who have been lost for 300 years. They deserve to be welcomed home, not threatened with warships. Captain Dae-Sung speaks correctly. Hyojin's voice cut through the rising arguments. We have protocols for first contact situations. We will follow them. Before Bromtech could respond, every console in the command center chimed simultaneously. A message was coming through on all frequencies, broadcast in perfect galactic standard. Unity Haven, this is Colony Ship Eternal Dawn. We request permission to dock. We survived. We thrived. We're coming home. The command center fell silent. The voice was human, female, and carried an authority that made even Bromtech pause. Dae-Sung felt his throat tighten with emotion. 50,000 people had been lost. Everyone had believed them dead for generations. And now they were here, announcing their survival with simple, direct words. We should respond, Velthara said quietly. But what do we say? Dae-Sung stepped forward. I'll handle this. He activated the communication system. Eternal Dawn. This is Captain Dae-Sung of Unity Haven. We read you clearly. Permission to dock is granted pending council approval. It's good to hear your voice after so long. Welcome home. There was a pause, then the female voice responded. Thank you, Captain. We understand council protocols. We will maintain our current distance while you conduct your discussions. But be aware, we're not the same people who left Earth 3 centuries ago. We changed. We had to. The communication ended. Dae-Sung looked around the command center at the assembled representatives. Fear, curiosity, and greed showed on different faces. He knew what was coming next. The arguments would start. The political maneuvering would begin, and everyone would want to know what technology that ship carried. Dr. Sunwoo was still studying his scans, his face growing more amazed by the second. Captain, he said softly, I'm detecting something else. The hull material isn't just unknown, it's impossible. It shouldn't exist according to our understanding of physics. Whoever survived on that ship, whatever they experienced, it changed everything we know. Hyojin began coordinating security protocols, her movements efficient and professional. But Dae-Sung could see the worry in her eyes. This situation could go wrong in so many ways. If the council races couldn't agree, if someone tried to take the technology by force, if those returning colonists felt threatened. Ambassador Velthara approached him quietly. Captain Dae-Sung, I must speak plainly. My government will demand access to whatever technology that ship possesses. So will every other council member. Can you guarantee your people will share what they've learned? Dae-Sung looked at the screen, at the mysterious ship growing larger as it approached. I can't guarantee anything, Ambassador. I don't know what happened to them out there. I don't know what they've become, but I know this. They're human, and they came home. That means something. It means everything is about to change, Bromtech said from across the room. He was speaking into a private communicator, and Dae-Sung didn't like the look in the Chancellor's eyes. 6 hours, Dae-Sung thought. In 6 hours, that ship would reach the station. In 6 hours, everything they knew about the galaxy might be turned upside down. He just hoped humanity, both the old and the new, would be ready for what came next. The Eternal Dawn continued its approach, steady and unstoppable as a force of nature. Whatever secrets it carried, whatever knowledge those colonists had gained, the galaxy was about to discover that sometimes the lost come back stronger than anyone could imagine. 3 days after the Eternal Dawn docked at Unity Haven, the political situation had grown far worse. Captain Dae-Sung sat in his quarters reviewing security reports, and each one made his head hurt more. The door chimed. Enter, he called, not looking up from his tablet. A woman he'd never seen before walked in, moving with the quiet confidence of someone trained in intelligence work. She was young, maybe 32, with sharp eyes that took in every detail of his quarters in a single glance. "Captain Dae-sung, I'm Agent Kyung-min from Earth Intelligence Service," she said, placing her credentials on his desk. "We need to talk about the Eternal Dawn situation." Dae-sung set down his tablet slowly. "Earth sent an intelligence agent? Without notifying me through proper channels?" "The proper channels are too slow," Kyung-min said bluntly. She sat without being invited. And frankly, they're compromised. Half the council is running covert operations against the other half, and everyone is trying to steal technology from that ship. "I'm aware," Dae-sung said coldly. "Commander Hyojin briefs me daily on security incidents. So far this week, we've caught Tarvex agents twice, Quinn operatives 3 times, and even some of our own Earth personnel trying to breach the ship's systems. Which is why I'm here." Kyung-min leaned forward. "Earth's government has authorized me to make contact with Captain Bo-ra. We want to offer them full support, military protection, and exclusive partnership agreements. In exchange, we get priority access to their technology." "No." Dae-sung's response was immediate. Kyung-min blinked. "Excuse me?" "I said no. I won't help you turn this into another political game. Those people survived hell for 300 years. They deserve better than to be treated like a resource to exploit." "Captain, you're being naive," Kyung-min said, her voice hardening. "Every major power in the council is making similar offers. If Earth doesn't secure this technology first, someone else will. Probably the Tarvex, and they won't use it peacefully." "That's not my problem," Dae-sung said. "My job is to maintain diplomatic relations, not conduct espionage operations." Kyung-min stood, her expression unreadable. "Then I'll make contact on my own." "But you're making a mistake, Captain. In galactic politics, hesitation is weakness." After she left, Dae-sung sat in silence for several minutes. Then he activated his secure communication system and sent a message directly to the Eternal Dawn. "Captain Bo-ra, this is Dae-sung. We need to talk privately. Someone from Earth Intelligence just tried to recruit me for an operation against you." The response came within seconds. "Appreciated, Captain. Would you like to know how many other similar approaches we've received?" "How many?" 17 separate offers in the last 3 days. Everyone wants to be our special partner. Everyone promises protection we don't need. And everyone wants our technology in exchange for things we don't want. Meanwhile, aboard the Eternal Dawn, scientist Jae-hoon paced his laboratory quarters. He was younger than most of the original mission crew, only 45, and he'd been born on the colony world. Unlike Captain Bo-ra and the older generation, he had different views about sharing their knowledge. He activated his personal communicator and sent a carefully encrypted message to Dr. Sun-woo at Unity Haven. "I'd like to meet privately. I have information about our medical research that could help millions of people." Sun-woo's response was excited. "Of course. I can arrange a secure meeting room." "When?" "Tonight. And doctor, please don't tell anyone else. Captain Bo-ra is being too careful about what we share. Some things are too important to hold back." In the Unity Haven conference chamber, the political pressure had reached a breaking point. Ambassador Velthara's voice was sharp with frustration. 3 days of demonstrations, 3 days of carefully controlled information releases, and we still don't have access to any actual technology. This is unacceptable. Commander Hyojin was managing the meeting in Dae-sung's absence. Captain Bo-ra has been generous with her time and explanations. She's under no obligation to share anything. She docked at a council station. High Chancellor Bromtek growled. "That puts her under council jurisdiction. I propose we simply seize the vessel and conduct a proper investigation." "You can propose whatever you want," Hyojin said flatly. "But if you try to take that ship by force, you'll have a problem with every human in this station." "Is that a threat, Commander?" "It's a fact, Chancellor." The tension in the room was explosive. Admiral Dong-hyun, commander of Earth's small defense fleet, spoke up from the back. "Perhaps we're approaching this wrong. The Eternal Dawn crew doesn't need protection or resources. What if we asked what they need instead of demanding what we want?" It was a simple suggestion, but it stopped the argument cold. Velthara's translator clicked thoughtfully. "An interesting perspective, Admiral. What could they possibly need that we have?" "I don't know," Dong-hyun admitted. "But maybe we should ask." That evening, Dr. Sun-woo met scientist Jae-hoon in a small research lab in the science section of Unity Haven. The Eternal Dawn scientist looked nervous, constantly checking the door. Thank you for meeting me, Jae-hoon said. I need to show you something important. He pulled out a small device and projected a holographic display. Medical data filled the air, complex formulas and treatment protocols that made Sunwoo's breath catch. This is a cure for callus syndrome, Jae-hoon explained, a degenerative nerve disease that kills thousands every year across the council species. We developed this treatment 20 years ago. It works on every biology we've tested. This is incredible, Sunwoo whispered, his fingers tracing through the holographic data. Why hasn't Captain Bo-ra shared this? Because she's waiting to see if the council is worthy, Jae-hoon said bitterly. She's testing you all like experimental subjects. But people are dying while she plays her political games. That's wrong. Sunwoo looked up from the data. This could save so many lives. But why are you showing me? Because I believe knowledge should be shared freely, Jae-hoon said. Our ancestors didn't survive by hoarding information. They survived by adapting and helping each other. I think Captain Bo-ra has forgotten that. What neither scientist knew was that Captain Bo-ra had been monitoring Jae-hoon's communications since the moment he sent his first message. She sat in her command center aboard the Eternal Dawn, watching a recording of the meeting through surveillance systems that Sunwoo couldn't detect. He means well, Chief Engineer Tae-yang said from beside her. I know, Bo-ra replied, but good intentions don't change the reality of galactic politics. Look what happened within minutes of him sharing that data. She brought up another screen. It showed Agent Kyung-min receiving a data transmission from an unknown source. The agent's face lit up as she reviewed the medical information. That data is already being copied and distributed, Bo-ra said. Within an hour, every major intelligence service will have it. Within a day, someone will try to patent it or weaponize it or claim they developed it themselves. So what do we do? Young-sik asked. Jae-hoon violated your direct orders. He shared classified research without authorization. Bo-ra was quiet for a long moment. We let it play out. This is part of the test, too. Let's see how the council handles a gift given freely. The next morning, news of the callus syndrome cure spread through Unity Haven like wildfire. The medical community was excited, calling it a breakthrough that could revolutionize treatment protocols. But the political community saw it differently. Bromtech was the first to act. The Eternal Dawn has released dangerous medical information without proper council approval. This treatment must be reviewed, tested, and regulated before it's distributed. I'm issuing an immediate embargo on its use. Velthera agreed quickly. Medical protocols exist for a reason. We can't allow unauthorized treatments to spread without verification. This embargo is necessary for public safety. Daesung listened to their pronouncements with growing anger. You're saying that a cure for a fatal disease needs to be locked away and controlled? People are dying from callus syndrome right now today. Rules exist for everyone's protection, Bromtech said firmly. Even humans must follow them. That's when Captain Bo-ra's voice came over the station-wide communication system. Everyone heard it, from the command center to the lowest maintenance deck. This is Captain Bo-ra of the Eternal Dawn. I'd like to address the recent distribution of medical data from our research. First, Scientist Jae-hoon acted without my authorization. He will be disciplined according to our colony's protocols. Second, the treatment he shared is genuine and safe. We've used it successfully for 20 years. Third, I'm watching how your council responds to a life-saving gift, and so far I'm disappointed. Bromtech's face darkened with rage. You have no authority to broadcast on council frequencies. I have the technology to do it, Bo-ra replied calmly, which amounts to the same thing. Now, let me be very clear. We have treatments for 17 different diseases that currently have no cure in council space. We have agricultural techniques that could end food scarcity. We have energy production methods that would make fusion reactors look primitive, and we were considering sharing all of it. Velthera asked quietly. Past tense, Ambassador. Because in 3 days you've shown us exactly who you are. The Eternal Dawn had only been gone for 2 hours when High Chancellor Bromtech made his move. Captain Daesung was still on the observation deck, staring at the empty space where the colony ship had been, when Commander Hyojin's urgent voice came through his communicator. Captain, we have a problem. A big one. Daesung turned away from the window. What now? 47 Tarvex warships just entered the system. They're surrounding Unity Haven in a combat formation. The bottom dropped out of Daesung's stomach. He called in his fleet? That fool is going to start a war. He ran to the command center, arriving just as Bromtek's face appeared on the main screen. The Tarvex Chancellor looked satisfied with himself, his scales gleaming with what might have been pride or arrogance. "Attention all vessels and station personnel," Bromtek announced. "By authority of the Tarvex Dominion and for the security of the Galactic Council, I am placing Unity Haven under protective custody. All ships will power down their weapons and prepare for inspection. The human vessel Eternal Dawn is to be recalled immediately and surrendered to Council authority." "He can't do this," Admiral Dong-hyun said from his position near the tactical displays. The Earth Fleet commander had been reviewing defense protocols and his face was pale. "Unity Haven is neutral territory. This is a direct violation of Council law." "The Chancellor doesn't care about law right now," Hyojin said quietly. "He cares about that technology and he's willing to risk everything to get it." Dae-sung moved to the communication console. "This is Captain Dae-sung to Chancellor Bromtek. You're making a terrible mistake. Stand down your fleet immediately." "The mistake was made when you allowed that ship to leave, Captain," Bromtek replied coldly. "I'm correcting it. The Eternal Dawn will return and submit to proper inspection, or Unity Haven will face the consequences." "Consequences?" Belthara appeared on another screen, her forearms gesturing frantically. "Chancellor, this is madness. You're threatening an act of war over a single ship with technology that could shift the entire balance of galactic power," Bromtek said. "My analysts estimate that their weapon systems alone would give whoever possesses them dominance over all other Council species. I won't allow humans to keep that advantage. They're barely civilized as it is." Dae-sung felt his anger surge, but he forced it down. "The Eternal Dawn is long gone, Chancellor. Your ships can't catch them. Even if they could, you saw what their technology can do. You'd be sending your fleet to their deaths. Then Unity Haven will serve as motivation for their return," Bromtek said. "I'm giving Captain Bora 6 hours to surrender her ship. If she refuses, I'll begin boarding Unity Haven and seizing all human personnel for questioning. Perhaps she cares more about her species' homeworld than she pretends." The screen went dark. Hyojin immediately began coordinating with her security teams. "We have approximately 900 civilians on this station, including families. I'm ordering evacuation procedures. There's no time," Admiral Dong-hyun said grimly. He was studying the tactical display and his expression was dark. "The Tarvex fleet has us completely surrounded. They're already jamming long-range communications. Even if we could evacuate, where would we go? They'd intercept any ship that tried to leave." Dae-sung looked at the display showing the Tarvex formation. 47 warships against Unity Haven's defensive systems, and the small Earth fleet of 8 ships. The math was brutal and simple. They couldn't win a fight. "Contact the Eternal Dawn," he ordered. "Let them know what's happening." "Sir, the Chancellor's jamming is blocking everything but short-range communications," the communications officer reported. "Then boost the signal. Use every relay we have. Get a message through." It took 15 minutes of creative technical work, but they finally managed to punch a tight beam transmission through the jamming field. Dae-sung recorded a simple message. "Captain Bora, Bromtek has surrounded Unity Haven with 47 warships. He's demanding your surrender or he'll attack the station. Don't come back. This isn't worth a war." The response came faster than should have been possible. Bora's voice was calm but carried an edge of steel. "Captain Dae-sung, we're already on our way back." "Ide 23 minutes. Negative," Dae-sung said urgently. "You can't fight a whole fleet. Save yourself and your people. We'll negotiate with Bromtek." "There's no negotiating with someone like him," Bora replied. "We've seen his type before on our colony world. Predators who only understand strength. We're coming back, Captain, and we're going to teach the Chancellor a lesson about threatening people we care about." The connection ended. Dae-sung looked at Hyojin, who had been listening. "She said people they care about." "They were testing us," Hyojin said slowly. "But maybe we passed more of the test than we thought. Or maybe they just don't like bullies. Either way, 1 ship against 47, Admiral Dong-hyun said. "I've seen the Eternal Dawn's capabilities and they're impressive. But this is different. The Tarvex fleet has weapons that could crack a moon. Even with superior technology, the numbers are overwhelming." "Then we help them," Dae-sung said. "Admiral, can your fleet provide support?" Dong-hyun's laugh was bitter. "Captain, my 8 ships are older models with outdated weapons. We'd be shooting spitwads at armored giants. But yes, we'll help. It's the right thing to do even if it's suicide." The next 20 minutes felt like hours. The Tarvex fleet maintained its position around Unity Haven. weapons charged but not yet firing. On the station, Hyojin had moved all civilians to the most protected sections and put every security team on high alert. Dr. Sunwoo found Daesung in the command center. "Captain, I need to tell you something. About the medical fabricator data that Captain Bora left with you. What about it?" "I've been analyzing it. It's not just medical technology. Hidden in the code are defensive protocols, shield modifications, and weapon upgrades. She gave us the tools to upgrade Unity Haven's systems." Daesung stared at him. She knew this was coming. She knew Bromtech would try something like this. "Maybe," Sunwoo said. "Or maybe she just wanted to give us a chance to defend ourselves. Either way, I've already started implementing the upgrades. It'll take hours to complete. But our shields are already 30% stronger than they were this morning." Before Daesung could respond, every sensor on Unity Haven screamed an alert. The Eternal Dawn had arrived, but not in any way anyone expected. The colony ship appeared in the middle of the Tarvex formation, materializing from nowhere as if it had simply decided to exist in that exact location. The jump was impossible by every known law of physics. Ships couldn't emerge from jump space that close to other vessels. The gravitational interference alone should have torn them apart. But there the Eternal Dawn sat, suddenly present among 47 Tarvex warships like a wolf appearing in a flock of sheep. "How did they do that?" the tactical officer gasped. "They jumped inside the formation," Admiral Dong-hyun said, his voice filled with awe. "They jumped directly into the middle of a combat fleet. The calculations required, the precision needed, that's impossible." "Apparently not," Hyojin said quietly. Captain Bora's voice came through on all frequencies, clear and strong. "Chancellor Bromtech, this is your only warning. Stand down your fleet and withdraw from Unity Haven immediately." Bromtech's response was filled with rage. "You dare give me orders? You're surrounded by my warships. One command and they'll tear your ship apart." "Then give that command," Bora said calmly. "See what happens." There was a moment of frozen silence. Then Bromtech snarled, "All ships, open fire! Destroy that vessel!" The Tarvex fleet opened up with everything they had. Energy beams, missiles, plasma cannons, kinetic weapons. The firepower they unleashed could have destroyed a small planet. The space around the Eternal Dawn lit up like a star going supernova. When the light cleared, the colony ship sat exactly where it had been. Not a single scratch marked its hull. "Impossible," Dong-hyun whispered. "Nothing can withstand that much firepower." But the Eternal Dawn had done more than withstand it. Daesung watched in amazement as the ship's strange hull began to glow with the same energy that had been fired at it. "They're absorbing it," Sunwoo said, his voice shaking with excitement. "The shields aren't just stopping the energy. They're collecting it." Bora's voice was almost amused now. "Is that your best, Chancellor? Let me show you ours." The Eternal Dawn didn't fire weapons. It didn't need to. The ship simply released a pulse of energy that washed over the Tarvex fleet like a wave. Every warship in the formation suddenly went dark. Their engines shut down, their weapons powered off, their shields collapsed. "What just happened?" Hyojin asked. Tactical Officer Mi Young's voice came through from the Eternal Dawn. "We've temporarily disabled their power systems. No permanent damage, but they'll be drifting for about 6 hours while their reactors cycle back online." 6 hours. The Eternal Dawn had neutralized 47 warships in less than 2 minutes without firing a shot. But they weren't done. The colony ship began moving through the formation, and Daesung realized they were heading for Bromtech's flagship. The massive Tarvex command vessel was helpless, floating dead in space. "Chancellor," Bora said, her voice cold now, "I'm going to explain something to you very carefully. We could have destroyed your entire fleet." 2 weeks after the Tarvex fleet limped back to their home system in disgrace, Captain Daesung stood in the main conference chamber of Unity Haven. The room was packed with representatives from every major council species, Earth government officials, and several independent observers. Everyone wanted to hear what Captain Bora had to say. The atmosphere was different now. Before, there had been greed and calculation in the eyes of the diplomats. Now there was caution, respect, and in some cases genuine fear. The demonstration with Bromtech's fleet had made the Eternal Dawn's capabilities very clear. Bora entered the chamber with Chief Engineer Tae Yang and Civilian Representative Young Sik. She moved to the center podium with the confidence of someone who had nothing to prove. "Thank you all for coming," she began. "I know many of you have questions. I'm here to provide some answers." Ambassador Velthera was the first to speak, her translator clicking softly. Captain Bo-Ra, the Quinn Empire wishes to formally apologize for our previous attempts to acquire your technology through irregular means. We recognize now that such methods were inappropriate. Appreciated, Ambassador, Bo-Ra said simply. A new Tarvex representative stood. Chancellor Bromtek had been removed from power by his own government after the disaster at Unity Haven. The new leader, Chancellor Rinval, was younger and seemed more diplomatic. The Tarvex Dominion also wishes to extend formal apologies. Former Chancellor Bromtek's actions do not represent our people's values. We hope to rebuild trust with both the Eternal Dawn colony and the human homeworld. That will take time, Bo-Ra said, but we're willing to talk. Dae-Sung had been asked to moderate the meeting, and he stood now. Captain Bo-Ra, I think everyone here would like to know your intentions. Will the Eternal Dawn colony seek membership in the Galactic Council? Will you return to Earth Authority? What's your plan? Bo-Ra looked around the room slowly, meeting eyes with various representatives. Our colony has spent 300 years building something new. We're not interested in joining the Council as it currently exists. We're not interested in returning to Earth Authority. We're our own people now, our own civilization. Then what do you want? Admiral Dong-Hyun asked. He had been promoted to Chief of Earth Defense Forces after his willingness to stand with Unity Haven during the crisis. Why come back at all if you don't want to reconnect? We want to trade, Young Sik said, speaking up for the first time. As equals. We have technology to offer, knowledge to share. You have resources we can use, connections we might need, but it has to be fair exchange between parties who respect each other. What kind of technology are you willing to share? Dr. Sun-Woo asked from the science section. Tae-Young stepped forward. Medical technology first. We have treatments for 47 different diseases that currently have no cure in Council space. We're willing to share those treatments freely, no cost, because healing the sick shouldn't be a business transaction. That caused murmurs of surprise around the chamber. Free medical technology was unheard of in galactic politics. However, Bo-Ra continued, for more advanced technology we expect fair compensation. Construction materials, propulsion systems, energy production methods. These took us 300 years to develop. We're willing to trade them, but we want something of value in return. What could we possibly offer that you need? Velthara asked. Raw materials, Tae-Young said. Our colony world is rich in some resources but poor in others. We need rare earth elements, specific isotopes, biological samples from different worlds, things that are common in Council space but difficult for us to acquire. That seems reasonable, Rinval said carefully. But surely you understand our concern? Your technology is so far beyond ours. How do we ensure fair trade when the value difference is so extreme? We've thought about that, Young Sik said. He activated a holographic display showing complex trade calculations. We've developed a system based on utility rather than market value. For example, a medical treatment that saves lives has high utility, regardless of how easy it is for us to produce. We're willing to trade high-utility items for lower-utility items in bulk. The goal is mutual benefit, not profit. Commander Hyojin spoke from her position near the door. Captain Bo-Ra, I have a security question. Your ship demonstrated the ability to disable an entire fleet without destroying it. That's both impressive and terrifying. How do we know you won't use that capability to enforce your terms? You don't, Bo-Ra said honestly. You have to trust us just as we have to trust you. That's why we're starting small. Medical technology first. See how you use it. See if you try to weaponize it or patent it or restrict it. That will tell us whether we can trust you with more. And if we fail your test? Dae-Sung asked quietly. Then we leave and don't come back, Bo-Ra said. We survived 300 years without the Council or Earth. We can survive 300 more if we have to. Agent Kyung-min, who had been watching silently from the back, finally spoke. Captain Bo-Ra, I owe you an apology. I tried to manipulate the situation for Earth's benefit. That was wrong. Bo-Ra looked at her with something that might have been respect. You were doing your job, Agent. I understand loyalty to your people, but loyalty shouldn't mean betraying your principles. Remember that, Dr. Sun-Woo raised his hand. Captain, you mentioned you found ancient ruins on your colony world. Ruins from a civilization that died out millions of years ago. Are you willing to share information about that civilization? Some information, Tae-Young said. Not all. The ruins contained knowledge that's dangerous in the wrong hands. We spent 50 years studying the ruins before we even attempted to use any of the technology we found. Patience and wisdom are required. If the Council can demonstrate both, we'll share more. This all sounds promising, Admiral Dong Hyun said, but I think there's a bigger question we're not addressing. Captain Bora, you said you came back to test whether Earth was worth saving. We saw the worst of us with Bromtech, but you also saw people like Captain Dae-sung and Commander Hyojin. What's your verdict? The room fell silent. Everyone wanted to hear the answer. Bora took a long breath. The truth is, we're still deciding. We saw greed and violence from some of you. We also saw honor and courage from others. You're a mixed species, just like we are. Just like everyone is. But there's something else, Young-sik added. Something we didn't expect. When Bromtech threatened Unity Haven, the Earth fleet came to help even though they were outnumbered and outgunned. Captain Dae-sung refused to exploit our situation even when his own government ordered him to. Dr. Sunwoo treated scientist Jae-hoon with respect, even after learning he had violated our protocols. These small acts of integrity matter. So here's our proposal, Bora said. We're willing to establish a permanent embassy on Unity Haven. We'll begin limited technology transfer focusing on medical and humanitarian applications. We'll open trade negotiations with interested parties, and we'll see what happens. And if things go well? Dae-sung asked. Bora smiled slightly. If things go well, I'm authorized to reveal something. The Eternal Dawn isn't our only ship. It's not even our best ship. It was sent ahead as a scout, a test vessel. If we report back favorably, our colony has 20 more ships ready to make contact. Ships carrying scientists, teachers, engineers, and families. We could share so much more than technology. We could share knowledge, culture, and genuine partnership. The implications of that statement hit the room like a shockwave. 20 more ships. An entire fleet of advanced vessels waiting to see if humanity and the Council were worthy of contact. 20 ships, Velthara whispered. How many people? About 200,000, Young-sik said. Teachers who could revolutionize your education systems. Doctors who could train your medical personnel. Engineers who could upgrade your infrastructure. Families who might want to reconnect with their ancestral homeworld, but only if you prove you're ready for it. Rinval stood slowly. Captain Bora, the Tarvex Dominion pledges to support this exchange program. We will provide any resources you need and guarantee safe passage for all Eternal Dawn personnel. As does the Quinn Empire, Velthara added quickly. One by one, the Council representatives stood and pledged their support. Even species that hadn't spoken during the meeting wanted to be part of this new arrangement. Dae-sung watched it all with a mixture of hope and caution. He caught Bora's eye and saw the same careful optimism there. They both knew this was just the beginning. There would be problems, setbacks, and probably more conflicts. But it was a start. After the official meeting ended, Bora invited a smaller group to tour the Eternal Dawn. Dae-sung, Hyojin, Sunwoo, and Dong Hyun were given access to sections of the ship that no outsiders had seen before. Fleet Commander In-soo greeted them aboard the ship. He was older than Bora, his hair completely white, but his eyes were sharp and intelligent. Welcome to the Eternal Dawn. What you're about to see is just a fraction of what we've built, but it should give you an idea of our capabilities. He led them through corridors that seemed to shift and adapt as they walked. The walls were made of materials that felt warm to the touch and seemed almost alive. Engineering bays showed construction techniques that made Sunwoo gasp with excitement. Medical facilities displayed equipment that Dong Hyun couldn't even identify. The docking bay of Unity Haven had never been so crowded. Security personnel from 6 different species lined the walls, weapons ready but not raised. Diplomats and scientists pressed against the observation windows above, all wanting to witness this historic moment. Captain Dae-sung stood at the front of the receiving delegation, his dress uniform feeling tight across his shoulders. Commander Hyojin stood beside him, her hand resting casually near her sidearm. 12 separate security alerts in the last hour, she murmured. Everyone wants to be first to see what's inside that ship. Keep them back, Dae-sung replied quietly. This needs to happen right. The docking clamps engaged with a series of heavy thuds that echoed through the bay. The airlock connection sealed with a hiss of equalizing pressure. Everyone in the bay seemed to hold their breath at once. The outer door of the Eternal Dawn opened slowly. A ramp extended, perfectly smooth and made of the same unknown material as the hull. Then figures appeared at the top of the ramp and Daisung felt his heart skip. They were human, unmistakably so. But they moved with a confidence and grace that seemed almost unnatural. 4 people descended the ramp, wearing environmental suits that looked like they were made from liquid metal. The suits seemed to shift and flow as they moved, adjusting automatically to the environment. The woman in front removed her helmet, and Dae-sung found himself staring at someone who could have been his sister. She was middle-aged, with sharp eyes and the bearing of someone who had commanded through difficult times. Her hair was cut short, practical, and showed streaks of gray. "I am Captain Bora of the colony ship Eternal Dawn," she said, her voice carrying clearly through the bay. "On behalf of 12,000 survivors and their descendants, I thank Unity Haven for receiving us." 12,000. Dr. Sunwoo gasped from somewhere behind Dae-sung. The ship carried 50,000. Bora's expression didn't change. 12,000 survived the first 10 years. The rest died learning how to live where we ended up. A heavy silence fell over the bay. Dae-sung stepped forward, extending his hand in the old Earth gesture of greeting. "I'm Captain Dae-sung, Human Liaison to the Galactic Council. Welcome home, Captain. We have many questions." Bora took his hand and Dae-sung was startled by the strength in her grip. "I'm sure you do. We have some answers." She gestured to the others behind her. "This is Chief Engineer Tae Yang, Medical Officer Ji-won, and Civilian Representative Young-sik. They'll help explain what happened to us." The man called Tae Yang was tall and lean, with the careful movements of someone who worked with precision tools. Ji-won was calm and analytical, her eyes constantly scanning the crowd as if conducting a medical examination. Young-sik seemed younger than the others, perhaps in his mid-30s, with an easy smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Ambassador Velthera pushed forward, her translator clicking rapidly. "Captain Bora, the Council demands to know the nature of your ship's technology. The energy signatures are unprecedented." "Demands?" Bora's tone remained neutral, but something dangerous flickered in her eyes. "Ambassador, we've been gone a long time, but I remember that demands aren't how equals speak to each other." Bromtek's voice boomed from the crowd. "Equals? The human species holds junior status in the Council. You will cooperate with our investigation." Bora looked at the Tarvex Chancellor for a long moment. Then she smiled, and it wasn't a friendly expression. "Chief Engineer Tae Yang, please give the Chancellor a demonstration." Tae Yang reached to his belt and removed what looked like a simple metal rod. He held it up and appeared to think at it. The rod immediately transformed, unfolding and reshaping itself in seconds. It became a complex scanner that projected holographic displays in the air. "Thought-responsive technology," Dr. Sunwoo breathed. "We've theorized about it, but the computing power required is easily achievable when you have to improvise or die," Tae Yang said simply. He collapsed the device with another thought, and it returned to being a simple rod. "Everything we carry responds to neural impulses. It's more efficient." Hyojin had moved closer, her professional interest obvious. "Captain Bora, I need to ask standard security questions. Where did your jump drive malfunction take you? What was your destination?" "Somewhere far," Bora replied. "Beyond mapped space. Our jump calculations were wrong by a factor we still don't fully understand. We ended up in a system with one habitable planet." "Barely habitable. Tell them about the planet," Young-sik said quietly. "They need to understand." Bora nodded. The planet had gravity 3 times Earth normal. The atmosphere was breathable, but barely. The weather patterns were extreme. "And the local wildlife?" She paused, her expression darkening. "The local wildlife considered us prey." Ji-won stepped forward, her medical background evident in how she explained. "The first year we lost 20,000 people. The gravity alone killed or crippled many. The predators took more. Disease, accidents, starvation. By year 5, we were down to 15,000. By year 10, 12,000. How did you survive?" Dae-sung asked softly. "We adapted," Tae Yang said. "We pushed our technology beyond every safety limit. We experimented with things the Council would never have approved. We had no choice. It was innovate or die." Bora's voice grew stronger. "We found ruins on the planet. Ancient structures built by a civilization that died out millions of years ago. The ruins contained technology, information, and knowledge stored in ways we barely understood at first." "Ancient alien technology," Velthara said, her tone sharp with interest. "You reverse-engineered it." "Not exactly," Tae Yang corrected. "We learned from it. The ruins showed us principles, not blueprints. They taught us how to think differently about physics, about energy, about biology. We took those principles and built our own solutions. Dr. Sunwoo couldn't contain himself any longer. What kind of principles? What did you learn? Ji-won answered this time. We learned how to manipulate gravity at the molecular level. We learned how to create materials that respond to biological impulses. We learned how to extend human lifespan naturally, without artificial enhancements. Extend lifespan? Sunwoo's eyes went wide. How long? I'm 58 years old, Bora said calmly. By the standards of our colony, I'm in middle age. Most of our people live to 200, some longer. Our children are stronger, healthier, and more adaptable than any human born on Earth. The bay erupted in shocked murmurs. Bromtek's voice cut through the noise. Impossible. Such claims require proof. We have proof, Young Sik said, his earlier smile gone. 300 years of records. 53,000 descendants of the original 12,000 survivors. A thriving colony that doesn't need the Council or Earth or anyone else. We came back because we wanted to, not because we needed to. Then why come back at all? Hyojin asked. If you're so advanced, so self-sufficient, why return? Bora looked at Dae-sung directly. Because we needed to know if humanity's homeworld was still worth saving. If the people we left behind had grown strong or stayed weak. If our species learned wisdom or just accumulated more weapons. The honest brutality of that statement silenced the entire bay. Dae-sung felt something cold settle in his stomach. You came back to test us. Yes, Bora admitted. We did. And based on what we've seen so far, I'm not encouraged. She gestured around the bay at the weapons, the security forces, the politicians already calculating how to profit from the situation. Within hours of our arrival, we detected 3 separate attempts to plant surveillance devices on our ship. Within hours, Hyojin stiffened. I'm handling those security breaches, Captain. The perpetrators will be identified. Oh, we already know who they were, Tae-yang said casually. Tarvex operatives primarily. Some Quinn agents as well. We let them plant their devices. The devices are feeding them exactly the information we want them to have. Bromtek's face darkened with rage, but before he could speak, Bora raised her hand. Chancellor, understand something very clearly. In the 300 years we've been gone, we've fought for survival every single day. We've outsmarted predators that could tear through steel. We've survived disasters that would have wiped out any council species. Do you really think your intelligence operations impress us? You speak boldly for someone surrounded by superior forces, Bromtek said coldly. Superior? Bora laughed, and it was a genuine sound of amusement. Chancellor, our one ship could disable your entire fleet before your weapons finish charging. We won't because we didn't come here to fight. But don't mistake mercy for weakness. Young Sik stepped closer to the crowd. My grandparents were among the original colonists. They told stories about Earth, about the Council, about a galaxy where people worked together for the common good. We hoped those stories were true. We hoped we'd come back and find something worth reconnecting with. And what do you think so far? Dae-sung asked quietly. Young Sik met his eyes. I think the jury is still out, Captain. I think you personally seem honorable. I think Commander Hyojin runs a professional operation. But I also think most of your council is looking at us and seeing only technology they can steal, or weapons they can acquire. That's not what we hope to find. The uncomfortable truth of that statement hung in the air. Dae-sung wanted to argue, to defend the council and humanity's place in it.